Welcome to Lawyers Who Learn, where we explore how attorneys' engagement and lifelong learning fuels their growth. Join us to uncover these journeys and gain insights for your legal career.
Rachel, welcome to Lawyers Who Learn. I'm super excited to dive into your story from your family, business, running golf courses, to your current role as Director of Client Intelligence at Sidley Austin. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and chat more with you.
So I don't even know where to start because there's so many different great things that you're doing right now. But I think to me, just to level set for somebody who's an entrepreneur, I'm a lawyer, but I'm not necessarily in the big law space. What does Director of Client Intelligence mean now? And I ask that because you're also president-elect of LMA, which is Legal Marketing Associations. And those two things don't necessarily match up as the same category for me. So I'd love to better understand the two of that.
Yeah, so at Sidley, I'm responsible for all of the data related to clients, matters, and non-Sidley people, and how do they relate together, and making sure that those relationships are clearly mapped. It's really clear, like, how does a matter relate to a client? But then how does a non-Sidley person relate to a matter? How did they relate to a client? Because maybe at one point in time they were a Sidley person and maybe they became a client. And then maybe they became someone from another firm. And then maybe they became an expert witness, and the evolution that people take. So I'm one of the people that sit there and make sure that we have continuity in that data and those relationships and help tell the stories so we can build 360 dashboards, and that we can make sure that our experience management system talks to our CRM, that talks to our ERM, that talks to our accounting system, that talks to our financial system, that works with our enterprise data structure, that all of the different pieces connect together. And part of the reason that I'm great at telling that story is because I spent the first 10 years in my career in marketing. And I joined Sidley in 2009. We have 1,100 lawyers. We just crossed over the $1 billion mark in revenue. And I've been here through all of our amazing growth. We haven't merged with a firm since 2001. The growth has been primarily through small lateral groups joining the firm. And I think I've onboarded over 100 lateral partners. I helped open our Houston office and build out our energy practice. And so seeing all those different pieces has helped me understand the life cycle from trying to acquire a client to then, once we've acquired the client, what does the matter life cycle look like? Who are the people that are involved? How do we track the information? Spending 6 years in knowledge management really helped me understand all the different points of work product and how the work product ties back to profitability and helping lawyers work more efficiently. And then at the heart of it is, like, how are we driving revenue? How are we deepening relationships? How are we protecting them? And helping organize all of that information so we can more effectively leverage data and AI. So in a way, it all does tie back to marketing at the end of the day, because we're trying to grow the business.
That's fascinating. I'm going to see if I can repeat to some degree what you, at least the beginning component of client intelligence is you, in order, like, you want to, I look at a customer relationship management times 10, but you, with all, I don't know, a certain level of client, maybe you want to understand more than just the transactions that they need help with, but the full picture. So that it's intelligence on your clients. Is that, am I saying that right? Like, it's just to imagine a Fortune 100 company is one of your clients. And so you want to look to see all the matters that you've helped them with out over the years. You want to make sure that's tracked and that your data system correctly. And then I assume there's levels up from there.
Yeah, but also intelligence on the client, the people at the client, the people that are important to the client. So like, of course, you think about, oh, I want to know about the GC or the assistant GC, but what about the former GC? What about the people who have left there that still have relationships with them? What about the other law firms that they're doing significant business with? Because no law firm has 100% of any client's business. So I want to know, here are my top 100 clients. I also want to make sure who else is doing work with them. What is the work that they're doing? Did we even get an opportunity to pursue that work? And all that comes down to making sure that we're organizing our information in a way that you can start building those dashboards and building those analytics. And so it comes down to thinking about the whole life cycle of a client and not just thinking about, oh, this is my client, and am I doing a client feedback interview? It's okay, here's my feedback interview. How does that pair with information that I'm getting from our revenue team? How does that pair with information that we're getting from the actual matters and matter satisfaction and the success rate of the matter?
Is this a common role in Big Law?
It is becoming. There's probably a handful of us right now. And I'm starting to see more and more signs. Like it was, I guess in 2022, you started seeing everyone think about, oh my God, AI. And in 23, 24, it's, oh, we actually need to think about our data.
Yeah.
And now it's, oh, we actually need to think about our data in this very big way and how it's all interconnected and not the silos of it. Like you can't just think about it's financial data, it's knowledge management data, it's marketing data. It's how is it all interrelated?
How many clients or potential clients are you tracking in client intelligence?
It
Hundreds?
I can't say.
Yeah, no, totally. And my goal is not to get you to reveal anything. So do you have a team of people who are focused on, okay, you focus on this amount of clients, you focus on this amount of clients?
Yeah, it's a combination between our data and AI team, our market intelligence team, our strategic planning team. It's a variety of different teams that have different focuses for different areas. And my responsibility is making sure that the data is aligned so people can do that analysis.
Got it. I look at it like as a government agency or like the CIA or somebody who's just, you can go one level, right? Okay, they need help with this transaction, or you can understand who they are, ins and outs. So you are prepared and you can communicate with them at a level that is beyond just trying to get their business. So you are a partner for a long period of time.
Yeah. And it goes back to like, when I think about the very first general counsel panel I ever attended at my first LMA conference in 2014, the general counsel that were sitting there kept on saying, know my business, help me look around corners, be a partner with me. Like, sending me client alerts or doing CLEs, that's not value add. Understanding me and my business and the challenges that I'm facing, that's the value add that I'm looking for. And with the evolution of data and AI, we have the ability to do it. We have to invest in it. Like law firms, we have so much amazing information. We've done a really good job of holding on to information. Now we just need to prioritize the organization of it. And with products like Ingrata and Databricks coming into the market and becoming more consumable and the ability for law firms to deploy them, it's making it a much more achievable goal for law firms to access information this way.
And I heard you mentioned two names. I don't know what those are. And just because this is an opportunity for someone to listen to learn, you said Ingrata and I think you said Databricks. So they're both Lakehouse products. Ingrata is a Lakehouse product that is designed for legal by a former CIO in the legal space. He was a consultant for many years and he created a company that they come in and actually build lake houses for law firms. And a lake house is the best of both worlds between having a structured data warehouse and having an unstructured data lake. And if you think about a law firm's information, documents are all unstructured, but then we have our accounting systems and our CRMs and our experience systems, which are all usually really structured. And if we want to be able to put it together to leverage AI models and things, we need to be able to have a universe where they can all live together. And so he's custom built a product in the market that is really taking off. And then Databricks is something that a lot of Fortune 100, 500 companies use that is starting to make entrances into the legal market. That is also a Lakehouse product that is not bespoke for legal, but a lot of law firms are starting to use that one as well. Got it. Thank you. That's helpful. One of the things you were talking about, before we started recording, talk about all the conferences that we go to. And one of the themes that keeps coming up is how law firms of the future are going to provide more business consultancy services beyond just the practice of law. And when you were saying the client intelligence and getting to know who they are, do you see that? Is there two sides to that? One, to give you knowledge to help yourselves, but is there another area where you can use that knowledge to help the client in things that they're trying to do? Is that something Sidley does right now, where it's not necessarily just legal representation, but some sort of business consultation based on client intelligence that you guys are working on?
That's definitely something that, depending on the relationship, that some relationship lawyers are pursuing. And actually, it reminds me of a panel that I was just on with the head of legal operations at Disney. And this is an opportunity for all law firms. She was talking about how they just got their very first document management system. And at law firms, we all moan and go, oh my God, the DMS, and it's so awful. But they were so excited to have a DMS. So, if someone listening to this and Disney's one of your clients, like, hey, maybe you should call them and be like, what DMS are you using? Can we offer you any advice? Can we share our experience with you? Because as our clients are building out these much larger legal operation departments, there's an opportunity for us to be consultative on how to help them build their own mini law firms. And some people might say that's like taking away are you cannibalizing your own work? And I say, no, you're deepening your relationship. It'll make sure that you're staying top of mind for the really big, juicy work that isn't rate sensitive, that, is going to be that really great work. And then you're deepening the relationship by helping them kind of fish for that self-service kind of work that's going to leave one way or the other.
Yeah. There's for me, like when you think about the conferences that you go to, and ITLA is one of the big ones. How are you keeping up to date? Let's talk about your learning. How are you keeping up to date with all these tools and all these products? Are you just learning on the fly? Are you taking courses? What are some of the things you've had to do that other people potentially in your shoes are looking for solutions to she's so knowledgeable. How do I get to where she's at?
It's a little bit of all the things. I try to never leave a conversation without learning something new. It's one of those things, like I never think I know all the answers. I think that every conversation I should be able to come out with some kind of idea of how to be better, how to learn something new. I actively have subscriptions to Corsica, to DataCamp, and I try to make sure that I do one hour class or 2-hour class.
Can you explain what both those are?
Yeah, they're both subscription services. DataCamp is really great if you're trying to improve your technical skills. In April, Sidley hired their first established their first data and AI department. And so now my peers are directors of AI engineering, directors of data engineering, like super technical, brilliant folks. And I've never worked with people this technical before. The same way I had to learn to speak legal with lawyers when I entered BD, now I'm having to learn how to speak technical. So I'm taking intro into data engineering, intro into AI engineering.
And these are just on-demand courses.
And they're anywhere from an hour to 4 hours. When my flights are delayed for 4 hours, I'll start watching a class to help pass the time. And I think for a year, it's like $165 for the license for DataCamp. And then Corsica, a lot of Corsica classes are free. If you just type in Corsica.com, there's all kinds of things from change management to data literacy. And from there, I've taken ChatGPT classes. A friend of mine who's very into AI for marketing, she was talking about how she took all of these classes to get an AI certificate in marketing. And I was like, huh? So I started looking at her LinkedIn profile, and I realized she did all these classes through Vanderbilt. And I followed the link, and it took me to Corsica, and they were all free classes. They were all about 4 hours each. So that's the other thing. When people start talking about cool things that they're doing, just click on the link. And similarly to Alice, just falling through the rabbit hole, follow the link and see where it takes you. Now, granted, if it gives that flashing warning that you may be going into a dangerous site, stop. But
I've heard of Coursera. I've never heard of Corsica. So definitely.
It is probably Coursera. I am Southern dyslexic and went to school, so I mispronounce stuff all the time.
No, I'm so glad. No, that makes I was like, okay, there's another one who's copying the name. That makes a lot of sense. So Coursera, which is ones who works at the universities, and a lot of those are free. There was also, I don't know if he even still around. There is, it was through Harvard. It was like EDX or something a while back. It was competing with Coursera, but it seems like Coursera has done a good job. One of my, this is like the formal learning component. Like it's what Lawline does. It's what any particular courses. I personally learn best through informal learning, like you were saying, through trying and doing and experimenting. Just because we're on a roll here, are there things that you're actually, when you think about your informal, because or not, maybe you've hit you're good and you don't really you're so busy in your job. Most people don't have time to this continuous learning.
Because I do wear so many hats, both professionally and personally, I've created a lot of custom GPTs to help me edit emails and respond to things in certain different voices. And one of them might be my Taylor Swift one. I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan, and someone in my life was trolling me a lot with the new album. So I maybe took it upon myself to put a lot of Taylor Swift lyrics into the GPT and asked it to help me reply in Taylor Swift lyrics when I wanted to say something back to them. I'm like, how would Taylor Swift reply to this in Taylor Swift lyrics? And please give me citations.
Look, so yes, I have a lot of fun with that as well in the tonality. How have you determined ChatGPT versus Claude versus another? Do you use Claude at all?
Not that much. ChatGPT is the enterprise one we have for the firm.
Got it.
So I've just become very accustomed to it. Now, over this last month of being on the road, I have several new ones that I want to try, particularly around PowerPoints, because I do not love ChatGPT for PowerPoints, and I'm not a PowerPoint maven.
So Gamma, I assume, is one?
Yep, Gamma is on my list, and I've heard a lot of great things about Perplexity.
Yeah.
So they're all on my end of year roundup presentations that I have to give for various different volunteer things.
If you have the bandwidth, Claude is become the best for writers, because you mentioned tone and tonality. It goes above and beyond ChatGPT for the ability to take up your tone and do things. It also is the go-to platform for developers, because they actually they're different. They're done differently than ChatGPT, and every major web developer uses them because it writes code. Like it's unbelievable when you see how things are changing. A web developer, as an example, is one of the highest paid professions. And now you can see it coding things in minutes that would take hours or days. And you think about the legal profession, I see the developer as 2 to 3 steps ahead of many other professions. Are you seeing anything with all these tools that you're using when you talk to attorneys in your firm, things where, oh, wow, this is really cool, but this could be a concern at some point, how it takes a 10-hour billable hour to 1 hour, for example?
It's not so much that part. I think the summarization tools are amazing, but it's like, how do you make sure that you have the subject matter expertise to read through the summary to make sure that there's not hallucinations? And that's the part where I get concerned. It's how do you teach people the expertise to be able to leverage the reduced time, but keep the accuracy of it? And that's the part where I wrestle with, because I see the value and it's amazing. But like when I put things in to summarize or help me draft something, it's because I have that subject matter expertise when I'm putting it in there. Like we did an initiative last year where I conducted over 80 interviews to try to understand pain points around the marketing team's challenges with technology and data. And because I sat through the interviews, and when I put all the interviews in there and chat gave me back its analysis and thoughts, I was able to say, yes, I agree with that. No, I don't agree with that. I think that's a hallucination. I think that's an overconflation of ideas here.
I think, no, it's a great point, and it's definitely going to be a different skill set. The best example I can think of is I've had it, of course, summarize interviews that I've done with people on the podcast, and I'll read the summarization. I'm like, that's not what she said. And I'm like, but nobody else would know that except me because I did the interview. But yeah, that it is a good point.
Yeah. And that's the part that I worry about. So how do we teach? Because I'm not a lawyer by training, I I went to mass communications. When I was in college, there were still computer labs. My master's is in market research. I did a year-long executive program in change management. Like, I am a humanist through and through. And so I don't really understand, but as I understand it, like law school is teaching you about the law, but not the business of law. Like, how do we adjust the apprentice model and the educational model to give people that subject matter expertise?
Well, it's interesting because you said you spent a year in change management. I feel a lot of what's happening right now is change management, of understanding that there's so many tools out there, but just because the tools are there doesn't mean you'll shift your behavior to do that. So that is one of the things that is more important now than ever, to dig deeper and set up a law firm for success.
Yeah, and holding space for all the biggest aha moment for the change management program, I remember like the first month, we met every month for three to 4 days. And when they talked about the storming, norming, and forming, and like the changes and how people reacted and would have, it's normal to get scared and upset and all these different emotions that people have with change. And that was like the biggest aha moment. And I think sometimes that we forget in law firms that we need to hold space for the emotional part of change. And like things are moving so fast and people are like faster. And it's like, we need to remember that we're still working with humans and we need to hold space for the change. Like, we need to hold space for people to be scared and overwhelmed. And also we need to remember that the world outside is also creating a lot of change and a lot of VUCA.
100%.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm a little disappointed when I come to these conferences and I'm like, why aren't we talking about like the human being that we're asking to do all of these things? We're talking about the technology and we're talking about working faster and smarter, but like, why aren't we talking about how do we hold space for these people and create that space?
Do you know who Connor Grennan is?
No.
I will connect you and I'll share with you. He is he's at NYU, but he is the preeminent person right now who talks about change management and AI. He is so knowledgeable in the space. You should follow him on LinkedIn. He has such great content. I actually interviewed him on Lawyers Who Learn as well, but he spoke at the Legal Tech Hub conference and other different areas. He has courses on this as well, but he brings it, like his best example is, right, you can buy a treadmill and put the treadmill in your house. Doesn't mean you're going to use it. You could stare at it and the change management of actually getting up and using it every day. But yeah, there's so much happening. I always feel inadequate. I'm like, I'm just doing summaries. Like it's the smartest thing in the world you ever get. And all you can figure out to do is like summaries. There's so much more that.
And see, when I hear that, I'm like, it's amazing. You're doing summaries. You're doing something. Like, you have
100%.
to start somewhere. I was talking with someone the other day and I was like, just start where you're comfortable.
Yeah.
My intro to starting with comfort was, we do a big family trip every year to Lake Norman in North Carolina. And I was like, how do I figure out how to cook for 14 people? So I went to ChatGPT and I gave it the menu and I said, what do I need to shop for? So it gives me everything I need to shop for. And I said, my family doesn't eat these things. So I edited the list. And then from there, I was like, actually, can you organize this in between like pantry items, refrigerated items, freezer items, and produce? So I knew whatever weird grocery store I went to in North Carolina that I go to once a year, I had this great list.
And that's level 2, right? It's just not summarizing, it's helping you prepare and organize the structure.
So but it's do what you're comfortable with. You don't have to jump in and immediately do the things. Like, say, I'm going to New Orleans with my best friend for 3 days. What do you think I should do? You don't have to start with your job. You don't have to start with the highest risk things, or start with things that you already know, where you know the answer, so you can test it and build your confidence and begin to trust it.
Agreed.
And summaries, I think, are great. Think about how much time 5 years ago you spent writing summaries of stuff.
It's unbelievable. And I've actually been messing around with AI agents as well, creating surveys and doing research, and it works pretty well in the basic level that I do it. Can we switch just we have like a few minutes left in terms of talking about marketing?
Yeah.
Because that's the other sort of experience in how we talk a lot about professional development on this podcast. We talk a lot about meditation and all these different areas, but let's talk about, we don't talk enough about business development and marketing. You are president-elect of the LMA. You have a lot of experience. I don't know, what are some nuggets or what are some things that you've learned over the years to, I don't know, let's start with this. What, as your role is working with attorneys, what is some areas that they get right? What are some areas that they need improvement on when it comes to how to help themselves and put themselves forward?
I think it's remembering that it's a really small industry and our paths will cross again. I think lawyers are great at having wonderful relationships in the moment, but it's like keeping up with that relationship after that is done. There's so many amazing tools out there that your marketing team has available that can help you today. So don't be afraid to share your contacts with your firm because your firm is going to help you keep that information up to date. There are tools like your ERM that will help keep track of when your contact moves. It'll update it in the CRM. When you leave your firm, you have every right to ask for the updated list of your contacts, and your firm will give that to you. And it'll give you the latest contact information for your contacts as they've moved and updated and have changed throughout your time at your firm. Some firms use different products. There's a company out there called Serum, and they have a feature.
Say the name.
Serum. It's
Okay.
CIRROM.
Like a serum.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they have a feature where you can actually say, I want you to keep track of these people and when they move companies. So depending on what you do in your firm, you can say, or your firm may say, track these people. And so when, they move from client A to company C, you'll get an alert that says your client has moved to this new company. So don't be afraid to participate in the technology. Like, it can feel a little big brothery, but don't be afraid. And particularly to younger lawyers, you've just left law school. You've just left with 400 people that you've just spent this amazing experience with. Keep in touch with them. Go to your alumni groups, connect on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to set aside 10 minutes a day to connect with people in different social media platforms, or to remember to send thank you notes to people or shoot them emails. I think one of the biggest pieces that I learned from growing up with my family is to freely give in relationships. I will always help people when they're struggling with a taxonomy question, or I was talking with someone about how should they organize their marketing technology stack, what should be owned by data, what should be owned by marketing. I will always freely give of my time because it helps everyone and it'll come back to you tenfold.
That's really great stuff. Like, when you talk about keeping track of all your contacts, certainly the flip side of that is you need to be able to provide them with content to communicate about them with. And talk to me a little bit about that component of it. How at Sidley or any other firm, what is the recommendation, or is there a team to help each attorney every week, every month, to share something that's not just self-serving, that's of value? Is there newsletters that go out? Of course, a lot of attorneys teach CELIA programs because of thought leadership and all those different areas. Just curious what your thoughts are there.
Honestly, I think a lot of firms do a great job of writing client updates. What I would personally suggest is, instead of sending the generic client update, not to every client every time, but perhaps to your target clients or people you haven't heard from in a while, or someone that's on the top of your mind, or someone that you're looking to either protect or grow or deepen. Use AI to write a summary. Say, hey, AI, this client is in the life science industry. Give me 3 tips from this article that my colleague just wrote. How does this apply to the life science industry? And customize it, but then send it to them. Take a little bit of effort to zhuzh it up. 10 minutes a day.
Yeah, and of course, there's different levels, right? Some attorneys have more work than they need. They're so busy, but some attorneys are trying to put it out there. And I know some firms where there's a company I think it's called Law Pods. They help big law attorneys create their own podcast. So all the attorney has to do is do the interview, and everything else is done for them.
Yeah.
Do attorneys at Sidley do that as well? Do you know?
No, we have our own internal podcasting group that helps them with things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah. But when it comes to client outreach and things like that, it's individual. And people can smell inauthenticity a mile away.
Of course, yeah.
But I think being conscientious of your relationships and just trying to rotate through all of them. You don't have to talk to every single person every single day, but you'd be amazing with just once a year of, I'm thinking about you, or dropping them a note on LinkedIn, just being like, hey, I really enjoyed seeing you last year. And you mentioned that you were playing a lot of pickleball. I saw this article about pickleball and I thought you might enjoy it. Take
And,
care.
and there's two ways of doing it: having your own, I guess, CRM or hubs or whatever you're doing, or as you recommend, potentially using the firms. It's there, it's provided for you. Don't be afraid that
it's something that the firm is already paying for and investing for you.
Okay. So what's your journey like at LMA, Legal Marketing Association? What is it? What is it? How has it supported you over the years? How have you become president-elect? That's a big accomplishment. And so I'm sure there's a lot of learning and growth that you could share with us.
Yeah. It's been an amazing organization. Honestly, I got involved because I wanted to be promoted as a specialist to a manager. I wanted that manager title. Yay. And I was told that I needed to show that I had experience managing people. And my boss at the time recommended volunteering to show that I had experience managing people in larger projects. And that was 2013. So, as any overeager millennial, I joined committees. And then, of course, I joined the local board. And the journey just moved on from there. And I've gotten more out of that association than I could ever possibly give. It has taught me, it's taken my natural communication, my natural skills as a storyteller, as a connector, as a humanist, and helped me turn it into a real professional advantage. It's helped me harness my curiosity and turn it into my career path. From working with lawyers and being curious of understanding, tell me more about the energy industry, turned into tell me more about experience management, turned into tell me more about knowledge management, which is now turned into tell me more about data strategy and data management. And in return,
and you're saying that whole evolution helped, the LMA helped you with that evolution.
Oh, absolutely.
Because why?
And because being a part of it has always helped me remember at the end of the day, we are all here to serve the client. So everything that I do internally needs to help drive revenue and deepen the client relationship or protect a client relationship or bring in a new relationship. Full stop. Regardless of what function I serve, what department, what chief I report to, my responsibility is to help drive revenue at the organization.
And what happened? Certainly that sounds obvious, right? Of course, but what is the default? What can happen when you forget that? You just focus on the task, you're not focused on the result.
You focus on the task and you forget that I need to do this and this is my job and I need to protect this house. And you think you put blinders on and you start thinking about just your world. And it's not what's best for me or my team or my department. It's when someone brings me a problem, just because I can't solve it in my little world, it doesn't mean that I shouldn't try to brainstorm and think creatively. It doesn't mean I shouldn't try to bring in other resources from across the firm. And from working in marketing and working on huge RFPs and different opportunities, I've had the line of sight into all the different functions of the firm and how they come together to create the client experience. So I'm sometimes oh, that's not a total me thing, but we need to call conflicts, and conflicts should join us in this conversation, and we might be able to solve something.
One of the best growth journeys is I have been president of a nonprofit myself, and on the board, everyone is volunteers and very high functioning in their own worlds, doing other things like that. You're as president-elect, and I'm sure you had other roles before this.
Yeah.
When does president start? When is your fiscal year? And what are some of the things you're most excited for and and I was super nervous about it because I didn't want to fail or mess up. What are some of the things that you think are going to be areas of growth that you're looking to get from that?
So it starts January 1st is when I officially take over. And we've been working really hard on our strategic plan. So my view as president, it's not time for me to enact my vision or my great plan. That was my opportunity on the previous 3 years that I've served on the board. This is my time to be a steward of the organization and continue pushing the strategic plan forward, focusing on making sure that we have a strong membership pipeline, that we're adding value to our members, and that we're preparing our members for the future, because we're at a really pivotal time. And AI is going to transform the way that marketing departments function in law firms. So making sure that we're providing educational content to our members that help position our members for the future. What that future totally looks like, I'm not incredibly sure, but I am sure of the skills that we need to make sure that our members have.
I love that. And the word that I hear from that is like servant leadership. Like, you're not looking to make your mark, you're looking to continue what needed for the chapter and serve everybody the best that you can. I think that Lawline actually most recently was a sponsor or had a booth at a recent LMA conference as a test. Yeah, I think the most recent one. I think we're going to continue doing that. So we are a big proponent. We believe in relationships through content, marketing, and learning and understanding. We work with a lot of business development functions in law firms, because when we speak to the lawyer, they're like, oh, speak to this person here, because at the end of the day, as content and client development and CLE is a great way to bring clients in and have those conversations. So we're always looking to learn and grow on our own. So hopefully I'll see you soon at a next one.
Absolutely. I'm in the process of writing my thank you notes to all of our business partners for the national conference.
Right, so I'll find out what our strategy there is. So in the last few minutes, I have 3 or 4 more questions, if that's okay. So you've been at Sidley for about 20 years, is that right?
Going on 17 years.
17. Okay, I rounded it up because going on 17 years. You gave me a quote before we did this podcast, if you remember. We asked you, what do you hope people will get after hearing your story? And you said, embracing the David Bowie quote, I don't know where I'm going from here, but I promise it won't be boring. So I love that. If you had to think about where you're going from here, you look at the next 17 years, the next 5 years, what can you say that won't be boring? What are some of the things that you're excited about in the next few years, besides that AI is changing the world?
I'm so excited about the future for legal marketers in this data-driven world that is in front of us. After all the conferences and roundtables and whatnot that I've recently attended, I just see that there's such a space for the storytellers, the change agents, the people that can help bring others along in this new world that we're headed into. And I'm really excited about that, because for a while, I didn't really know where this skill set was going to land. Were we going to turn into the world of the engineers? And I've come around to the idea that in legal, yes, we can boil things down to ones and zeros like any other industry, but our ones and zeros will always have rough edges, because our ones and zeros represent people's individual relationships and their intellectual property. So we're going to need a little bit more grout to make our ones and zeros come together. And I think that the storytellers and the change agents and the people that can bring others along on the journey are the grout that will make our ones and zeros come together.
What I think about AI is it can do anything you want it to do, but it can't make up your story, and it can help you better tell your story. And I'm trying to translate what you were saying. Is that what you were saying in a way of storytelling from the grout?
Yeah, like the storytelling and like why.
I was thinking when you were saying that, I was thinking of my bathroom and the tiles and the grout. So
yeah, and it's like, why do we need to make these changes? What is the advantage? How does this benefit the client? How does this benefit the lawyer? How does this benefit the firm? Helping people work through their fear and their anxiety, and the idea of the ladder of inference that, like, oh my God, if I make this change goes wrong, I'm going to end up homeless and on the street, and being able to walk people back down those ladders.
And I guess at the end of the day, we know there's going to be a lot of transformation in the world, in legal, in the next 5 years. And so that in alone is exciting and exhilarating and nerve-wracking at the same time. 2 more questions. I always ask this. normally I started asking ahead of time to get people to think. If you need to look at your Kindle, your Audible, or something else, we put together an online search engine from all of our guests of book recommendations that have helped you in your career. And we use AI to summarize what you said. And we used Lovable, which is actually a vibe coding site that built the site. So are there books that you've read recently or early in your career that you would love to share with others that they can use as well?
The Daily Stoic.
Is that Ryan Holiday?
Yep.
Yep.
Big fan of him. Big fan.
We've had many Stoicism conversations on this podcast.
Yeah.
So.
When you said meditation, I'm like, oh my God, we could have a whole separate conversation on meditation, Stoicism, and breath work. And
I'm so glad to hear that. It's amazing how many people I talk to are doing that. What is your big takeaway from that? What is the why somebody should read that book if they've never heard it before?
The struggles that we have today are concepts and things that people have been struggling with for as long as humanity has existed. And the only thing that we can control is ourselves. And then the other book that is really just sits in my mind a lot is Unbelievable Hospitality.
Ooh, tell me more.
So it is about the pursuit of a Michelin star and the unrelenting pursuit of getting the star, what it meant to get the star, how they created these memorable, insane experiences for people. And then once they got the star, they're like, is this really worth it? And then the separation of the business.
When you say separation of the business, what do you mean?
The restaurateur and the chef actually separated after a while. They're like, you know what?
It was too much. They achieved. It was like
they made their goal. They loved it, but then
that's always the
they
challenge,
wanted to do different things.
It's always, they say the journey versus the goal, and then once you hit it, you're like, oh, this is how I don't feel any better. But cool.
But it's awesome. A really good book that I think is really relatable. Oh, and the other one, Peter Block. It's like consultative selling.
Let's see.
I'll have to email you.
I'll look it up right now. Peter Block Consultative.
Yeah, and it's his 12 Faces of Resistance.
Flawless Consulting?
Yes. Okay. And essentially the first time I read his 12 Faces of Resistance, I actually saw the ways that I maybe rushed through different processes when I was trying to get lawyers on board with different things. Ooh. And different
ways. Even internal selling you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the whole process. That's the whole idea of consultative selling is internal sales, which is what I think I do all day long. Yeah, those are my books.
Awesome. Thank you. You know who John Kropp is?
No.
He runs a business he speaks at Big Law. It's called Flourish. And he speaks a lot on mindfulness and meditation. I'm interviewing him in 2 hours for the podcast. So certainly a great person potentially for Sidley to have at some point at their firm. And then the final question is, I know you're blurred and I don't know if it's where you are now, but you had shared that your office is full of Legos.
Yes.
What's the story behind that?
When after like a meeting and I need to clear my head and I can't actually get out and go for a walk when I only have 3 or 4 minutes, I will work on a piece of a Lego to clear my mind.
And have you built actual things or just...
Yeah. Here's the one that I most recently completed.
Ooh, wow.
And they're all the different like flower ones. Or when we reorged, I got everyone on my team the cherry blossom. Because cherry blossoms represent new beginnings. And I told them that I was looking forward to building a new chapter in our careers together.
Wow. How long did that take to build?
That one was actually surprisingly hard. The cherry blossoms actually took longer than the flowers because it was lots of little pieces.
Yeah. DC is a perfect place to see cherry blossoms.
Yeah, but yes, I have lots of Legos.
That was great. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for taking us through different parts of your journey together. Yeah. And I hope you enjoyed and maybe have a little bit more energy than at the beginning. And thank everybody for coming along the journey with us. And we will see you at the next podcast. So thanks again.
Thank you.